Hi, happy Friday. It's Friday. Oh, it's Friday. Are you doing anything? Is it the 13th? No, it's the 12th, right? Friday the 13th. Is it the 13th? I don't know what day it is. Well, anyways, that would be really freaky. My kid was born on Friday the 13th. That might be why he has all this craziness going on about him. So I wanted to come live and just chat with you all. I meant to come live yesterday, but I couldn't find my iPad and my kid was using my phone. So if you're new, say hi, tell me where you're tuning in from. If you're catching the replay, hashtag replay. So I started this to share my journey, to inspire other people, to inspire other women, to step into their strength and their confidence and kick ass at life. That's why I started this. So sometimes I share my journey live and sometimes I share my journey through posts. So I wanted to come live and talk about maybe what fear could mean and what's your sand, what's your rock, what's your sand, what's your pebbles, and what's your rocks. So all of these things that I share with you are things that kind of make a light bulb go off in my head throughout my journey and things that I've realized that have taken precedence. So fear. Could fear be your body? Okay, so originally we had fear placed in us for like survival purposes, right? But how often are we being chased by lions, tigers, and bears? Oh my, not very often. So our fear is a part of us so that we can survive. But in this day and age, a lot of our fear becomes negative thoughts. Hey girl. A lot of our fear our fear becomes overthinking, and our overthinking becomes negative thoughts. So what if fear is actually designed in our day and age, because it was originally designed to help us save ourselves. Bears, lions, caveman days. We don't live like that no more. So now a lot of us suffer from fear and overthinking, negative thoughts, anxiety, and depression, right? Super common thing because we fight with that every day. So what if fear is actually meant for you to lean into in this day and age, right? Like, what if it's meant to push you to where you're supposed to grow, to where you're supposed to level up, to where you're supposed to be great? That's how I look at it now. A lot of everything that I was afraid of was silly to think about now. Then I was freaking petrified, right? I was scared shitless. We'll talk about, I was afraid to talk about my depression. I was afraid to talk about my anxiety because back then, I mean, even still now, but more so back then, it was such a stigma, or it wasn't a real thing. And people just thought that you were crazy. And sometimes people still do. And that's okay. But I know that it's real, and I know where mine stems from, right? And I've come in the past couple of weeks with dealing with my cousin's death and things that have happened. I have realized how far I have grown as a person and in my mind, and how I deal with situations now. And I have realized that my ability not to fight the fear, but kind of lean into it and feel the emotions instead of harboring them inside and hiding them. I caught myself hiding them. I caught myself eating them. Actually, I caught myself not eating at all. And my girlfriend called me out on it. So I don't want to ever say that you're healed, because you're not. But you grow as a person if you lean into that fear. You grow as a person if you choose to, right? So I think that fear is like, we're afraid of when I was depressed and anxious and struggled with both of those at the same time. If you've ever struggled with depression and anxiety at the same time, it's like a fucking volcano and a hurricane going on at the same time. Like, you want to do all the things, but you don't want to do anything because you're over, like, you want to do all the things and it gives you anxiety if you don't do them. But you're too depressed to do them, right? So I never really talked about that. And then once I started this journey, I never really shared with anybody what I was doing because I was afraid of failing. I had the fear of failure, okay? And I was huge. I was over 215 pounds. I had never been that big in my life. I was maybe 100 pounds when I got pregnant the first time. So sharing that with people and being vulnerable sucked. So there was that. And like I thought maybe people would think like, oh, look at her starting a fitness journey. And a lot of people did think that. And then I started a business because I realized that if I was struggling like that, there had got to be more women just like me who struggle too. So I started a business revolved around fitness, like mindset change through fitness and never dieting. So, and I had fear doing that too. Like, what are people going to think of me? Are my friends going to think of me? What's my family going to think of me? I don't really know if I have time to do this. What if I fail? Because I had done a business before. And then I just leaned into the fear. Because somehow when you lean into the fear, it's kind of like your destiny. It's kind of like the universe's way of showing you what you need to do to grow you. So I leaned into the fear and I did it anyway, right? Then that's what you truly have to do. Like, I was afraid of doing leg day today because it was no weights, and I love, sorry, and I love weights. I love weights, and it was all high intensity. And I was afraid, but I leaned in, sucked it up, and did it anyway, right? And some days you gotta lean into the fear, suck it up, and do whatever it is you're afraid to do anyways. It might suck, might not be your best, but you have to do it anyway. So I want you to look at fear that way. If you and your family, if you're struggling and you need some sort of outlet, and you know that you want to change, and you know that you want to, do something better for yourself, but you're afraid, fight the fear. Oh my God, your hands are cold. Do it anyways. Thanks for tuning in my ear. Because it's worth it, 100%. Like, I realized in this week, like, having to talk to my daughter about my cousin's death and how I've grown as a person. And if I hadn't decided to do what I do now, and if I hadn't decided to lean into my fear and change, I wouldn't have been able to talk to her that way. I would not be able to instruct these kids, but mostly her right now, stop. That mindset is a huge thing. Okay, you're gonna have to go if you're not gonna sit right. Mindset, and your mindset controls, sit here or go. But your mindset controls a lot in your life. Are you gonna behave? Are you gonna sit right? I'm back. Your mindset controls so much, and how you think, and your negative feelings. And I wouldn't be able to teach her those things. My biggest fear was those things, but I didn't know anything about them. So, again, I realized leaning into my fear and how much it has changed me in the past since I started this, right? And it's changed my entire life. So when I say it's changed my entire life, I mean it's changed my entire life. It's not just my body that's changed. It's my mindset. It's the way I parent. It's helping my kids realize better things. But I want to challenge you to lean into the fear of whatever it is that you have. Starting a business, starting a fitness routine, joining my boot camp. Like, I'm here to help you. And then I wanted to talk about what is your sand, what is your pebbles, and what are your rocks in your jar. So I read in my personal development the other day, I was reading, and it gave an analogy of your priorities. And your priorities are these rocks that fill the jar. And the professor was doing it. And the rocks that fill the jar. Hi. Okay, sit back. The rocks that fill the jar. So the rocks that fill the jar are your priorities. And the professor asked, is this full? Do you think this is full? Because people often complain that they don't have enough time, they don't have enough energy, they don't have enough in their cup. So then the students said yes. So then the professor found little pebbles and filled the little pebbles in the jar. And the professor asked if the jar was full. And the students said, yeah, that it's full. And then they filled it with sand, or some people say they fill it with water. So your rocks are your priority. And then your pebbles are the kind of things that are priority. And then the sand is just things that are there. And a lot of times we fill our lives up with just the sand. And we overwhelm ourselves with just the sand. And it's things that aren't even vital to our life. It's not even important. You have to be quiet. They're not even important. And then the pebbles are things that are kind of important, but not really going to change my life. My pebbles would be things like the dishes. The dishes, the laundry, picking up the kids at school. I'm not saying that my kids aren't a priority, but those are things that I do every day, but they're not life-changing. They're not going to change my life. Trust me, laundry sucks. And if I never had to do it again, it's not going to change my life. But the big rocks are things like working out every day, showing up for yourself, eating a salad, drinking more water. Like that would be one big rock for me. Communication. Things like that. Like those are your big rocks. So I challenge you to find what your big rocks are. My big rock is my big rock affects my pebbles and affects my sand. If that makes sense. If this is an analogy that makes sense. So my big rock is showing up for myself, working out, and doing something for my mind. And then my little rocks are things like laundry and dishes and mopping the floor and vacuuming. Those are things that aren't life-changing. They are not going to change my life, right? Another big rock is me working my business every day, because that is life-changing and it has changed my life, and I am going to change my family's life doing it. But the pebbles of that, like my pebbles of vacuuming and mopping and doing laundry, are not life-changing. And so many times people will tell me that they don't have time, or people will tell me that they don't have time to work out, or that they're broke but they don't have time to run a business. I was there. I get it. But here's what I did. I focused on the things that weren't life-changing. I mopped my floors 3 times a day before I started this journey. I had an OCD problem, okay? Because I thought those were the things that were important. Those were the things that were going to make me happy. Those were the things that were going to make my husband happy. It's not. And it's not. And you have to reanalyze your priorities. So are you doing the big things, or are you doing the pebbles and saying you don't have time? Because I guarantee you, if you were to rearrange or evaluate what you do every day, you could change your life. You would have an hour a day to change your life. Guaranteed. Hands down. I've helped so many people reevaluate their life, and I found more than an hour a day. So, I challenge you to fill your jar and think, like, what's in my jar? Hey, what is in my jar? Are there priorities in my jar? And what are they? Am I filling my jar with mostly pebbles that aren't life-changing? Am I filling my jar with sand? Like calling your friends on the phone, being on the phone all the time. And then the pebbles aren't even getting done. So then you do feel overwhelmed, right? Like I'm watching all my TV shows, but I'm calling my girlfriends, and I'm going shopping at Target. Those are the small things. And I did those. And then I didn't have time. I didn't have time to do anything. I didn't have time to work out. I didn't have time to run a business. Why? Because I was spending 3 hours a day at Target, spending money that I told people I didn't have. But I had it if I reevaluated it. So I challenge you to see what's in your jar and see what your priorities are. And if you have any questions, shoot me a message. If you have any questions about fear, or you're struggling with fear, shoot me a message. I'm always here to chit chat with you. I'm always here to encourage you. I hope you all have a fabulous weekend and a fabulous Friday. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.